But Lalush here, unfortunately, Hydras without creep are Slowdras. Literally, they are. If they go off the creep and they overextend themselves, they can die very easily. Keep in mind, Stalkers, I think, have about double the movement speed of Hydras when they are off creep. And it looks like Lalush, with his Hydras so low on health, is going to decide to fall back. He's securing his third, however, because he does have map control. Ag now has one Colossus out. This is really changing the game, the face of the game as we know it, because before, Ag didn't have a Colossus. Hydras and Lynx were so devastating to his current army composition. But at this point in the game, with Colossus out, it really changes the metagame a lot. All he needs is that extended thermal lance, which he is trying to chrono boost out. If he can get it out in time, he can really hold off Hydras all day long, especially with the fortitude of his gateway units and his cannons. Now Lalush is going to be pushing out once again. His income actually below the Protoss player at this point, but he is getting that gold expansion up. Hydra's doing a lot of damage. Great concave from Lalush, picking off a pylon, picking off a couple of warriors from Ire. He is going to get this assimilator as well. Great pick off. That's going to stop a lot of the gas income for Ag. Ag needs to be careful using that Colossus whenever possible, but it does not have the range upgrade yet. Not quite finishing in time. The Colossus, without the range upgrade, is vulnerable to Hydralisk, but Lalush doesn't have the range upgrade either. He's just now getting it. Great micro from both players. Zergling's running in. A second Colossus pops out, and that should be enough to hold off the Hydras. Ag will not lose the gateway either. Good play from both players. Just clutch maneuvers and very, very close, intensive battles. A couple more Hydralisk or a couple more Colossus would have easily swayed the tide of that battle in favor of either player, but as it stands, I think both players had a very even trade. I don't see either player coming ahead, but one thing I do have to commend Lalush for is his great creep spreading, his map control, and that has allowed him to control this gold expansion, and now his income really is going to skyrocket, and the Protoss player is now under pressure. He has to make something happen in order to deal with this insane income from the Zerg player. He has to push out, he has to crush the gold, or push out and get some map control, try to get his own gold running. In response to the Colossus, Lalush is getting a Spire. This is the right unit choice to get. Corruptors are very, very good against Colossus. In fact, they even do plus damage versus Massive, which pretty much is geared towards killing off Colossi. But here we go. Ag finally realizing he has to push out to crush the gold expansion. He is at 114 supply. The Zerg is at 134. But keep in mind, Colossus are so strong when they're bunched up right here. And this is where Ag wants to fight, in this little crevice between the little rocks and the natural terrain. But no, he's pushed himself out. He's overextended, and Lalush getting a grace round, using the creep to his advantage, sniping out the Colossus first, but those Stalkers still doing a lot of damage. And falling back with his Colossi, has that insane range bonus and is going to be able to push Lalush back, I think. He doesn't have Glial Reconstitution for his Roaches, so his Roaches are quite slow at this point in the game. A third Colossus coming out. Very close game, but these Protoss forces do not want to fight on creep. That is where Hydras and Roaches can chase down your Colossus, and two of them getting picked off for Lalush. Great control there for our Zerg player to push back the enemy Protoss assault, and that does a lot more than you guys might think. You guys might be thinking, well, that was a pretty even trade, but no. The Protoss army had to push out to either secure an expansion or take out this gold, and that is not what happened. Not sure what unit died right there. But that's not what happened, and now the Zerg player really gonna eke way ahead of the Protoss. His economy is booming. He's got Corruptors now to deal with the Colossi. When the Protoss starves out his main, he's only gonna have one expansion left compared to the Zerg who's running on, who will be running on a natural and a gold. So it's really not looking too good for our Protoss player here. He has 0 upgrades for all of his forces, whereas the Zerg has 1 Carapace, 2 armor. That makes a huge difference. Excuse me, that might be, yeah, 1 Carapace, 2 missile. I was gonna say 1 Carapace, 2 armor. That makes no sense. But Lalush looking very strong right here in this semifinal game of the TL Open number 2, and these are all best of 3 matches. I forgot to mention that in the beginning. I'll be casting a best of 3 for semifinal A, best of 3 for semifinal B, and then I believe it's a best of 3 for the finals. It may be a best of 5, however. But Lalush looking very strong, moving in with his Corruptors. This is something Zerg players don't do often enough. Move in, snipe off a Colossus, and they even use that corruption ability to make the Colossus take 20% more damage. Lalush pushing forward, looking very strong. I don't know, he doesn't have that many Roaches and Hydras. Yeah, he's gonna have to fall back. He might have invested a little bit too heavily in his Corruptors, and Ag seemingly has stopped all Colossi production. He's transitioned into mass Immortals. Immortals here have a little bit of a corruption contamination going on. But Ag has switched to a mass Immortal Stalker build, so those Corruptors are actually pretty much worthless. They can only do a 20% damage boost spellcast in this game, and Lalush is not teching up to Hive, so he's not going to have Broodlords anytime soon. But I think he just has enough ground forces. He has enough economy to push forward. Can he take this game? Great force fields from Ag to hold back the Zerg Assault, but the Nexus gets sniped out. So Lalush there pushing forward, doesn't care if he loses most of his army. If he can stop that gold expansion, he's way ahead, but he's got to fall back here. Doesn't want to lose all of his forces. Got to get back on that creep, man. Your Hydras are Slowdras without that creep speed bonus. And if you lose your entire army, then of course the Protoss can just march forward and kill all your expansions. Now, 11 more Hydras on the way. Ag has a lot of Immortals, so Hydras are very, very good against Immortals, obviously. Immortals only really used to counter Roaches when it comes to Zerg versus Protoss, or Protoss versus Zerg. And Lalush now getting a 4th expansion down. Still doesn't have Hive on the way, but he is getting Infestation Pit, so he will unlock that technology avenue. We do have what seems to be a Hydralisk. His tail just like waggles there. Oh, he still has a little bit of a... You know, if you ever kill a spider and then like the leg still moves a little bit afterwards, that's what kind of reminded me there when I saw that death animation of the Hydra. But yeah, the Protoss player not looking good at this point in the game. He is still on 2 base. His main now completely mined out. He is operating off of 1 base compared to the Zerg, who will soon be operating off of 3. Ag, though, does have a formidable army, so that's one thing he's got going for him. But the Zerg player just a little bit more formidable, just a tad. He's got about 50 more supplies, so... And I don't know if the Protoss player can hold. He needs good force fields here. Great force fields here, splitting off the Hydras and the Roaches. Now he can pick off the ones in the front, but the Corruptors coming in, using their corruption ability on all the key units. The Corruptors, the Stalkers, they take 20% more damage, and when Hydras do 14 with a weapon speed of 0.83, that really does add up, and you guys can see Ag forced to fall back. His gold expansion here could come under siege. Lalush pushing forward for victory. He knows it's within the Swarm's grasp. All he needs to do is crush this last Protoss opposition. The last stand here, coming forward with his Roaches and Hydras, just the Corruptors overhead. They are like the Blue Angels just streaming overhead, taunting the enemy Protoss. Good force fields, but it's just not going to be enough. Too many Hydras for Lalush. Will take down all the entire Protoss army, and now it's going to take down the Nexus. So Ag calls GG, and will, as the loser, will call the next map, which is going to be Metalopolis. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that broadcast. Once again, this is the TL Open number 2, and we'll be casting a best of 3 for the semifinals, and this is semifinal A. So we'll be casting the semifinals and the finals. Just thought I'd pick up these replays and you know, bring them out to you guys, because I haven't had a lot of good games in a while, at least in my opinion. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that broadcast, and yeah, stay tuned for the next game. Thanks a lot, guys. HD signing out for this one.